Good morning. So, what I wanted to talk about this morning was practicing with joy. And I noticed after I'd created a title called Breathing in Joy that depending on where the comma goes, there are like two different ways of looking at it. One is as I breathe, take joy in. That's breathing in joy. And then um, as I breathe, joy is present. That's breathing in joy, you know, right? A little bit different. And I realize that it's more that one. It's really cultivating joy as we practice. And the joy is a little different than most things. Joy is a quality that is boundless, is immeasurable, has no location other than everywhere and every when. Joy is ever present, and the work that we do to experience joy is not to create it or bump into it by accident because something lovely happens, but rather is to cultivate our attention to joy as it is actually already present. Our attention is almost entirely somewhere else. We almost need to get startled to notice the joy. When we see a baby go, and we feel a little bit of joy. But what we're feeling when that happens is our attention is moving and our heart is opening to the joy that was actually present all the time. So I don't expect us to be able in one day to be able to recognize the constant presence of joy. But I would like today to cultivate the beginning of recognizing some ways that joy is able to be cultivated, able to be developed as a practice. The primary practice that the Springboard community has been working with for the last couple of years is this practice of focusing our attention on knowing whether or not at this moment an in-breath is occurring or at this moment an out-breath is occurring. And the work and the development and the effort we put to be able to sustain our attention on knowing whether the in-breath is occurring or knowing whether the out-breath is occurring is not so much about the breath. The breath is a convenient object to focus on because it's always there. You pretty much, except for the very end and the beginning of a breath, you're either you're breathing in or you're breathing out all day long. And you were doing it all night in your sleep. When you woke up this morning, you were doing it. Getting ready to come here, you were doing it. On the way here, and right now you're doing it. You're always breathing in or breathing out. And nearly all of the time, you don't know which one you're doing at any given moment. There is a vast number of sensory experiences, sounds and sights and sensations in the body and thoughts and feelings and that are going on all the time And nearly all of them you don't know about while they're occurring. Because almost all the time we're busy. We're pretty much always busy. Whether we're busy with activities, which is a lot, or whether we're busy with thoughts, planning, reminiscing, figuring out what's going on in the moment, um, seeing or hearing or thinking something, and trying to organize where to place it in my understanding of how everything is and how everything works. We're so busy with all of that that we're often somewhere else other than um, simply resting in the awareness of whatever it is that's going on right now. If it wasn't for the fact that it's always been that way, one might think it's kind of odd that we rarely know what's going on right now. One might think, that would be kind of normal, and then we get distracted. We call it distracted. But we're almost always in that state, so it's kind of hard to call it distracted. Mostly distracted refers to I'm lost over here, and then something came up, and now I'm distracted from where I was lost. You know, you're sitting there meditating and you're lost in some mental process. The bell rings, and it distracts you from, right? As a consequence of always being in that somewhere else place, um, we really, for the most part, have very little idea what happens if you're here. What happens to your body when you're here? What happens to your heart when you're here? What happens to your mind when you're here? Mostly we don't know, you know. We turn to people who have been practicing being present in the moment for decades and say, oh, let me give us a talk and tell us what's it like. And we listen and we go, wow, nice, I'm going to do that. And then we get busy. That's it, that's our lives. Not so bad, really. Uh, Except it kind of is. And when I say it kind of is, all you have to do is take a quick glance at the news to go, yes, something is seriously wrong in a foundational way. It's not like just something's a little off with the moment. We've been anxious about the world pretty much all our lives. Wondering how come, we're not getting met the way we need to get met. How come, it would be so easy to feed everyone in the world well? There's plenty of food. How come that we don't do that? I mean, we could have been doing that for pretty much since about a century ago. And we could have been organizing that effort, and we would, So what's up? And, the simple answer is, well, we're so distracted that we never get to it. You pretty much ask all but a very small percentage of people, do you think it would be good if everyone in the world had enough nutritious food to eat? Nearly everybody would say yes. But, and what have you done in the last week to make that happen? I was busy, right? So this practice is the practice of discovering there's at least a taste or a smell of what it's like now. Well, here's the problem. When you get quiet, when you focus on the breath, something shows up that either you wish, oh, I wish, and then, right? Or something shows up that distresses you. It doesn't take long. A lot of people barely can get through the first in-breath before, one of those two things show up. And as soon as, you wish something that you would like to be occurring, you're distracted. And as soon as uh-oh comes up, you're distracted. You're trying to think about how you could get what you want, and you're trying to think about how to prevent what you don't want from occurring. So in hearing this, for a lot of people, they end up back, just circling right back to, well, I want to be present. That's my wish. And then you start thinking about how to be present. I gotta meditate more. I gotta listen to quiet music that I can, I gotta this, I gotta that. Or, you sit, the bell rings, you get quiet, and the next thing you know, you're like, oh, I wish I did this better. I'm kind of distressed that I don't, and I'm not, first time I ever meditated was like 22 years ago, and if I picked it up then, I would be, And then you notice you're doing one of these things, you're wishing you were something you like, or you are upset that something you don't like, and then you notice, and then you get even more upset. Now you're like, you're on top of having been distracted. You're now leaving that distraction to create an even more, energized one. What if you could watch that whole process and be delighted? What if instead of being upset or wishing it was better than it is, what if instead you were like, this whole process is miraculous? How is it even possible, that living beings evolved with processes like this? Wow, that's amazing. Really, you can do that? You can actually, instead of just, listening to the sounds in the room or feeling the air on your skin, you can actually disappear from here entirely. And, you plan your vacation in Tahiti. And, and be like worlds away. Or you can be like solving all the problems in the world. I figured out how I'm going to do this, get the whole thing, line it all up, everything. Wow, that is really cool. You're pretty amazing that you can do this, that you have this mind and heart and body that is inspired all the time. This can be a source of joy rather than a source of distress. Joy in the reality of, I like the word miraculous. I'd like another one in there too. But just, who would have thought in a world full of, little mammals 60 million years ago, that, they would keep doing and becoming different things all over the globe until, we're certainly not the first mammal to start thinking. Lots of other mammals, they don't think like we think. They certainly don't speak English. But, well, actually, who knows? Some that have been around for a while, they may pick up some words here and there. But, that planning and remembering is something that, lots of birds and mammals and fish even, there's all sorts of animals, and I suspect plants as well, that have their own process of planning and remembering. Wow, that's amazing. What a cool thing. What an incredible thing. I recently read an article that that we have sense receptors all over our body that sense vibration. So perhaps, evolved so that you could be aware of something walking on the floor on the earth, and you could feel the vibration of their feet. Because we do have that ability we're sitting there and suddenly we have a sense there's someone coming up, and that's part of the sense. But the cool thing about it is they've traced the nerves going from those receptors to the brain, and those nerves go right to the hearing part of the brain. So we actually literally hear with our entire bodies. We're picking up vibrations that are interpreted by the hearing system in our bodies. How could you not live in joy? How could you not see this as like, wow. So really, the day of practice is simply a day of over and over again, because the busyness will keep coming back, but just gently putting aside the busyness and listening to the sounds. There's an endless amount of sound coming from Lincoln Drive, so that's not a problem, right? And from the building and from each other. There's plenty of sound to listen to. To experience, even with eyes closed, the effect of light on the eyes. The sensations that come and go in the body. And even the thoughts. If you don't get caught in them and, go running off with them into another world, if you just notice that, there's a thought, There's a dog barking. There's lots to pay attention to. The feeling of the air on your skin. The feeling of your seat on the chair. There's so many things to pay attention to that are happening now. And the one thing that you can guarantee is happening is that you're breathing. And so if we focus clearly and make an effort to stay focused on the breath in this way, see if you can know when an in-breath is happening. See if you can know when the out-breath is happening. If you move your attention to the dog barking, as soon as your attention is ready to come back, and as you come back with the focus of, oh, is there breathing in or is there breathing out? Gives you something to focus on. And that focus, that knowing what it is you're paying attention to in every moment, is the practice. That's simply the practice we're going to practice today. Knowing what it is you're paying attention to. And the only way to know what you're paying attention to is to not get overwhelmed by busyness. Not to disappear into the past or the future or an analysis or an understanding. And just be. Well, a lot of times just sitting there watching the breath, people say, it's kind of boring. And I get stimulated by like all these thoughts. It's much less boring if the sensation of the air on the skin brings you joy. Try it for a moment. Just feel the air on your skin and realize how, we don't have much gratitude for our ability to notice the air on our skin. Yet it's quite important. It's very important that we have senses that report to us what's going on in the world. Really vital. It's like a birthday present. Right? Over and over again, moment after moment, we're being given gifts. The gift of hearing, which is quite a gift. Even if we have to hear noises. And yet, imagine hearing this sound and being in the joy of hearing. Not the quality of the sound, but just the reality that hearing is occurring. What a joy. And thinking. How unappreciated thinking is because we get lost in it all the time instead of just noting. Oh look, planning is coming up. What a joy. I am of a nature to be able to plan. How often do you have gratitude for that? I am of a nature to be able to remember. That's how you're going to figure out how to get home today. Right? You remember where it is. When you see it, you go, oh yeah, that's my house. That's my place. If you couldn't remember, you'd leave and that would be it. See, joy. It is joyous that you can remember. The joy, I have some words I wrote. Lord, help me being able to find it. Oh, here we go. Joy gladdens the heart. Joy gladdens the heart. It makes the heart glad, happy, delighted. Joy brings contentment, you know, for just a moment as you're laughing about the remembering your home. There's a moment that you don't need to be anywhere else. You don't need to be doing anything else. You're content. It's just a moment of pleasance, a moment of joy. And it's spacious. It's not crabby and closed and narrow and tense. Joy is spacious and open and heartfelt. It brings ease. The body relaxes when joy is present. The muscles soften. The brain softens. Life softens. And when joy is present, you feel less need to defend yourself, to protect yourself, to keep everything close and tight. You're more receptive. You're more accepting of an annoying truck sound. Doesn't bother you so much when joy is present. An annoying truck sound. How many thousands of times in your life have you heard an annoying truck sound? It's like, eh. And and the annoying part, you can have joy that you're annoyed. Because the truth is, what's annoying about it is that it's not a bad thing. It's like, there's a way that you're capable of evaluating the myriad of different things you hear and categorizing and placing in a way that helps you organize your life. Didn't say when you go meditate, go to the side of the interstate and meditate on the truck. The Buddha go into the forest, a quiet place. So the fact truck noise is annoying. I don't know if some people it's low, but uh, the fact that truck
Offline. Why are you offline? Okay. It's been sent, but
Maybe it's something he's doing.
well, that's something over there, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not anything that we can handle. He's getting the message, but you know, it's cut. No, it's your side.
It's cut on his side, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something.
Okay.
Okay. And of course, it's me, so they think it's something I did. So I don't know what to do. What the heck? It's okay.
Something got unplugged over
No,
there.
something with Zoom. It's Zoom, I think. So, all right. I did everything. I can't do it. Okay, okay. All right. We'll just sit here.
I don't, now I'm,
Yeah.
Whoa!
You did it.
You did it!
Yes.
okay, good. Now, what I'm trying to tell you is go to the three buttons in the top corner and click on that, and it'll say something like make someone else the host.
Uh, mute my, make, can you see that?
No. Have to get closer.
No, just, it's not in the three buttons.
Oh,
No.
okay, here's my suggestion. Why don't you log off and then log back in?
Okay,
Okay.
okay. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, I don't know what happened. Okay, log off.
Will this happen? The excitement, the anticipation.
Leave meeting.
So this is how nothing is a distraction, right? You just go to the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing, and here I am. Now I'm the host again, and I can press useful buttons once more, and we're good. Okay, so I am going to turn off the recording now that I'm allowed to do